So, exclusive iRacing NASCAR console game is being built on Unreal Engine led by Monster Games. That's already, that kind of grabs my attention. Monster Games right off the bat. Led by Monster Games. I'm kind of surprised, but I'm not quite fully surprised because Monster Games worked with iRacing on the World of Outlaws game. So it's good to know Monster Games is being involved in it to some capacity because, crazy nuclear take, I think Monster Games did an okay job with AI. Maybe not so much like maybe Dragon Ball, but the AI in their pit logic is pretty sound. I don't really have much of a granular issue with that. So them being involved, or at least I guess 100% confirmed, is that's good. Good news. First time we've had good NASCAR gaming news in like 3 years. Maybe 5, actually, because NASCAR Heat 5 really wasn't that positively received. So, probably like 5 years. So, it says here the NASCAR console game from iRacing is going to be developed in Unreal Engine with Monster Games MGI leading the way. Which I never knew Monster Games was reread to MGI. First time I've seen it, but okay. First line, let's break that down. So, Unreal Engine. Now, obviously, NASCAR Ignition was done on the Unreal Engine, which is the preferred, like, big head honcho engine. And typically, well, it really just depends on the people making it. I think probably it helps. But yeah, when we had Ignition, they used the Unreal Engine, and they did not use it very well, and everything else was pretty much terrible. Graphically, it looked amazing, but like everything else was pretty much a broken mess. I mean, it drove well, but what's the point of having a game that drives well if like the rules don't work and the AI are just weird? It just broke everything. So the fact that it's on Unreal is all right, but it really just depends on the people working on it to make it good. A game engine, as Disco Inferno would infamously say, is a canvas, and it all depends on the artist to really, make that good. So I'm not going to get hyped. My shirt's not going to get ripped off because it's on Unreal. In fact, I would almost kind of wish that they would go with this is a bad take with something that they're familiar with, which Monster Games is mostly familiar with, Unity. So it leaves me a little bit skeptical of like, well, they're kind of going with something they're not really used to using. So there could be a chance they really mess it up. Or there's a chance it may be really good. Who knows? In an exclusive interview with Inside Gaming coming Friday, February 9th, so that's tomorrow actually, iRacing President Tony Gardner spoke about the early stages of the NASCAR console game as well as things players can expect with it all being in-house. The Monster Game Group, they built a lot of NASCAR games, Gardner said. They've been taking a lead on it. But weave, why is there two weaves? What? Been beefed up that group significantly. Since acquiring Monster Games Incorporated in 2022, iRacing has boosted the team from employees 20 to 35. Hey, that's actually kind of interesting because I swear back in the day with I don't know, with the Heat games, it was there was like rumors and speculation that there was only like 8 people working there, or it was like a very small number. So by at least 2021, there was at least 20. I mean, I guess it's still a relatively small number, but hey, they bumped it up to 35, so that's good. Good job. I'm happy with that. It's probably like 35 times more what Motorsport Games currently has as employees. So that's good. On top of the staff increase, specifically, iRacing has loaned engineers to the studio for its work, increasing their manpower available for development. It's also providing tech used within iRacing itself for the games being developed by the Monster Team, or what iRacing is now referring to as the console studio, as opposed to the Monster Games alone. Again, all sounds good. I'm all up for it. I mean, based on the World of Outlaws game, I mean, it was like I saw. Well, part of it frustrated me, but most of it was pretty good. I really don't have too much of a problem with how it drove, how the game looked. Sometimes the AI would be weird, and the physics of that was extremely strange, because if you tap like an AI, the car will like go up the track, or it'll do a lot of very just really unusual things. And also the career mode is like ridiculous. You have to win like 25 different championships, and you can't even really roleplay as a driver because it's going to take me like 80 years to get into the main series. I don't know. It's just not for me. But there was a lot of potential and a lot of cool elements in it, and the Kuruma with like the progression and like the levels of stats is, and building does good stuff. I don't mind that. If that's those are elements minus like the 35 different series, but those elements that was in the iRacing is good, good. If they could somehow make the budget to add more series, I would be, I guess, okay with it. I mean, I'm just worried that if they add in a bunch of series, it's going to take development time from actually making the Cup Series and other stuff. So I'm kind of a little worried about that. I would almost want it to just be strictly Cup Series, just so they could just have like a ground floor kind of situation. Then the next game, if like the first game's like pretty solid, then we can start expanding. But it all depends on how that first game is. But for the most part, all this sounds good. I really don't have much of an issue with things that are being said here. Okay. I was making sure I didn't get lost on this article. So it says they're using our car models, our track models, a lot of our tech, and they've done a lot of integration on the back end. Garner said of the work MGI is doing. So when we update a track, we're bringing all of our NASCAR tracks up to the latest spec, get them current, and have them develop, and they have a developed system where they just import, where they can just import our tracks. I can't read, as you see. As far as the engine is being used for development of the new NASCAR console game, it will no longer be built on Unity. No! Okay, I'm kidding, but I'm not surprised. Since literally the article said they're going with, like earlier, they said they're going with Unreal. My only concern is, well, they're kind of stepping away with something they're not familiar with, or there's something that they're familiar with to something unknown, so it could either be really good or really bad. So I guess we'll see, but I never really thought Unity was the worst thing in the world. I mean, it really, obviously by the time we got to like Heat 4 and Heat 5, the games drove pretty well. At least I thought they drove pretty decently, and AI were pretty competent. And like how they drove, there were some quirks about them, some weird things where they can just enter the corner at like a super shallow angle and just make it stick. Like those are just problems I think it's just embedded into the code, but 90% of the time is pretty good. But yeah, so obviously not using Unity. As well as under the case, let me read this again so I can actually get this right. As far as the engine is being built with the new NASCAR, no longer will be used to abandon. Games will no longer be built on Unity. I can't talk. As well as was the case under Motorsport Games. But Motorsport Games used Unreal, though. Are they trying to gaslight me? But, I mean, Motorsport Games did use NASCAR Heat 5 Unity, but that really wasn't their game. It was just... I'm a little confused on that line, because Motorsport Games definitely used Unreal. They did not use Unity. So I don't know what this means. We need, like, a couple more lines of context. Because if they're referring to, like, Heat 5, then sure. But that wasn't really their game, so I don't understand that line at all. Instead, the team is using the aforementioned Unreal Engine for the game. It's something that will bring NASCAR to next generation that Garner and the team iRacing feel that was necessary going forward. In addition to the updated engine, there's a heavy focus on the driving and features offered within the game. While Garner couldn't go into much due to how early in development the game is still, he did say they would have a focus on what they want to achieve with the first game. We want a real focus on the driving, as iRacing, as Brian Garner said. So there's going to be a lot of focus on good driving. Career mode is really important with the console game. And there's obviously, I guess I can quickly go through this line. So, good. I mean, these are all good things, but again, I've been burned many times from these articles saying, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that, and then it turned out to be underdeveloped or just a bunch of BS. So it's unfortunately, my cold dead heart is gonna take a lot more than just these words to really get me hyped. We're gonna need not screenshots, no articles. I need video. I need like gameplay footage, and then maybe I'll be a bit sold. So that's kind of how I view it. Maybe other people would be winded over by this, but I'm kind of more skeptical, and I'm gonna have a bit of more of a closed heart. So because I'm just, there's that part of me that's still skeptical. And I feel like after everything Motorsport Games went through, yeah, I'm going to be a little skeptical. And I do think there's probably going to be an interesting narrative of, well, they're going with Unreal. Ignition was on Unreal, and it was bad. So it's like, well, that's not going to translate because it's different companies. Different people are going to use that type of game engine differently. So it really just depends on the people working on it. I want that narrative to be a little more clear. That is really the people working on it. We could have had Thunder 04 on Unity, and it probably would have been pretty decent. At least, but they were using Tiburon or something, so I'm just making a really brass comparison. But yeah. So the last part here is, and so there's obviously a lot of effort in that. I don't want to give away too much about the game. We've got news coming, but the way the game works is with some fun new stuff in it that I can't quite talk about. Interesting. My eyebrow is raised a little bit. I don't think I did that too well. But new stuff. I wonder what that entails. I don't know. It's too vague. The bar for NASCAR console gaming is so low. What can be new stuff? I don't know. Could that be a rear view mirror? I don't. Could that be a rear view mirror? I'm just kidding. We've been waiting 3 years for it. I don't know. Okay, technically Rivals had it, but like a mainline console, like Xbox, PS4, and stuff, they haven't had a mirror in like 3 years, so I feel bad for them. But yeah. It says NASCAR game for iRacing is currently scheduled for release 2025. No new update on that, so I guess we'll see when that comes out. But they acquired the license back in October from Motorsport Games. See, it says Motorsport Games, but people still to this day say Motorsports Games, and that's not it. That's never been it. What is this Mandela effect? I don't know. But, and that's basically it from the article. So what can I take from this? Well, they're not using Unity. They're using Unreal. And there's more stuff that they seem like they want to do. They're making a focus on driving. Again, one of my biggest problems or concerns is probably the AI difficulty, because even with the normal iRacing's AI, from everything I've seen and heard, they're very inconsistent. One track they could be at 105 and you would destroy them. Other tracks 105 wouldn't work. So that kind of sucks. But if the AI are in a sense where you can adjust it from track to track, that's going to be very time consuming, but at least manageable, at least doable to some capacity. But it was going to be like NRO3, where it's like you have to run this difficulty the whole season, then I'm going to probably go into nuclear rant mode, because one, that should never be a thing ever, and two, that's going to pretty much just ruin everything. Like, even if the driving's good, there's a lot of nice features, the AI aren't going to be worth a damn to race against, then what's the point? But yeah, still a lot of unknowns. I'm more curious to see just what it does in the future and just what happens, but yeah. I don't think there's too much more I can say on my thoughts on it. That's kind of the general consensus, so yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Bye.